Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner. Or welcome if you are new to my channel. Glad to have you here. So, we're going to continue with my summer DVD horror movie review series. And the movie we're going to take a look at today is one that I watched a long time ago. It's actually 20 years old. And it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. So, it's not a full blown horror movie, more of a thriller. Um, but it's a movie I've only seen once, and it probably was close to 20 years ago, about 18, 19 years ago. And that movie is The Village, which technically isn't really a summer horror movie, but I'm counting it as one. It is. There is a lot of outdoors, and it's not winter time, so I'm going to call it a summer horror movie. Not a horror, a summer thriller movie. But it's M. Night Shyamalan's The Village from 2004. So yeah, first time I've watched it in almost 2 decades. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Um, The Village, marketed as M. Night Shyamalan's The Village, is a 2004 American period thriller film written, produced, and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. The story is about a village whose population lives in fear of creatures inhabiting the woods beyond it. So, in 19th century Pennsylvania, a small remote village lives in fear of nameless humanoid creatures that inhabit the surrounding woods. Staffed watchtowers and tall poles with oil lamps line the village perimeter for protection. The color red is banned as it attracts the creatures. Following a young villager's death due to illness, Lucius Hunt requests and is denied the elders' permission to travel through the woods and retrieve medical supplies from the towns to avoid similar tragedies. Later, Lucius's widow mother, Alice, questions his wanting to visit the towns, which the elders describe as wicked. The elders appear to have secrets, and each keeps a locked black box containing unknown items. It is learned that as the villagers avoid the woods, the creatures stay away. Lucius secretly ventures into the woods, though he later tells the elders and claims it was safe. Soon after, skinned animal carcasses appear in the village. One night, the creatures enter the village, leaving red paint splashes on people's doors as a warning. So yeah, that's kind of the setup and the premise for The Village from 2004. As far as the cast goes, we have Bryce Dallas Howard as Ivy Elizabeth Walker, Joaquin Phoenix as Lucius Hunt, Adrian Brody as Noah Percy, Sigourney Weaver as Alice Hunt, William Hurt as Edward Walker, Brendan Gleeson as August Nicholson, Cherry Jones as Mrs. Clack, and Judy Greer as Kitty Walker. So yeah, quite a cast there. But that's the setup, the premise, and the cast for the 2004 M. Night Shyamalan thriller, The Village. So like most people, when I saw this movie the first time, I was kind of let down by the second half of the movie. Now, have those thoughts changed upon a rewatch 18 years later? Yes and no. So let's just go ahead and get into it, starting with the things I like about this movie, because I don't think this is the worst movie ever made. When it came out, people thought it was garbage. They called it the worst movie ever made, the worst movie they've ever seen. That's way too harsh. No way. I've seen way worse movies just in my collection than this. But it does have its problems. There's no doubt about that. But let's start with the good things about The Village. The movie's very well made from a technical standpoint across the board, with the exception of writing and directing, which we'll get into in the cons. But it's very well shot with beautiful cinematography and scenes of color and landscape that are really hard to ignore, and they really do help light up this movie quite a bit and make it look good. I thought the acting is magnificent, led by the lead, who's a newcomer at the time, Bryce Dallas Howard. Now, of course, she's gone on to star in the Jurassic World movies, most notably, as well as a lot of other movies. But I think she does a terrific job here, with little experience at the time, having us experience things through her point of view, though. She does a really good job as the lead character in that regard. Also, you have Joaquin Phoenix, Adrian Brody, Sigourney Weaver, and William Hurt in supporting roles, and they're all fabulous portraying these characters. I didn't find a false note anywhere. Nobody mailed it in. It seemed they were generally good performances by well-known actors, so that's always a good thing. So the acting was really solid. I really like the sound design with these noises in the woods, and often the distance from the village. Like the sound of somebody walk, like crunching leaves, and just the wind, the growling, those type of sounds. Really good sound design, and then over the overall score of the movie, the music used in the movie is also very good, very effective, I think. The setting I really like with the woods and this village. It had a good production, including the period piece outfits and clothing that were used by the villagers. Quite well done. Very effective, in my opinion. So yeah, a lot of technical aspects they really nailed. I do like on paper the premise that they go for with the big twist and reveal. How people who have experienced trauma decide to try to escape and live in a different way, a different life. As a group with a lot of social commentary and themes thrown in here. And the fact that they keep their secrets through fear tactics, I think it's really interesting. And on paper, it sounds really good. It should be a slam dunk. Is it? I'm afraid not. We'll get into more of that with my cons. But it is an interesting premise on paper. And then finally, the first part of the movie has a nice mystery aspect to it with some decent tension and night shots and suspense. I was really into it for the first 30 to 45 minutes of this movie, frankly. So yeah, those are the good things about The Village that I really liked. A lot of technical aspects, as well as the on-paper premise and twist, and the first part of the movie. But now we have to talk about the cons with The Village. And the movie has some serious structural and overt errors in it. The one that's most notable, it comes back to the first twist that we get. There's really two twists in the movie. The second one works a bit better, but the first one having to do with these monsters in the woods, not so much. And so basically we go to this scene towards the middle to the end, where Ivy is in the woods trying to get to town to get this medicine, and she's being confronted by one of the monsters. But it doesn't work because we already know that it's not real at this point. That it's someone dressed in a costume, because her father already told us. He told her this, and in turn told us this through flashbacks. So the fear in her and how scared she is of this monster sort of following her and stalking her makes no sense. The revelation of this should have come after, the revelation where he tells his daughter, William Hurt tells her about the fact that the monsters aren't real. Though I lost my place now. Oh, he should have told her that. That should have come after the mask was removed from Adrian Brody when he's fallen into the pit. That way the suspense could have been maintained. Instead, the twist was told in a backlogging kind of way as opposed to chronologically. So that's terrible. I mean, that almost shuts down the whole movie, frankly. And I don't really understand what M. Night Shyamalan was doing there, because he's executed twists before this movie. Just look at The Sixth Sense, one of the best executed twists of all time. Most people that watch that movie didn't see it coming. Even Unbreakable, and to a certain extent Signs as well, he executes better. So I'm not sure. It's almost like he backed himself into a corner here with these creatures, these monsters that were sort of hindering around out of the woods, and he didn't quite know how to end it, how to explain it away. And that's kind of how it felt to me anyway. We're just very poor execution on this first twist here. Also, there are creature sounds coming from the growling. There are creature sounds coming from these monsters, like growling and grunting, that make no sense. Who's making these sounds? Because we know they're not creatures. They're sounds from the woods. You wouldn't know where these sounds came from unless you see the deleted scenes of the movie. Because it's only mentioned quickly here, like, we built the sounds, and you can hardly hear it. So there's a big error there. So yeah, just a lot of poor execution in this movie. I think that's really the biggest thing that really is the downfall of the second half of this movie, is just M. Night Shyamalan's lack of executing the twists, and therefore the directing and the story of the overall movie and what direction he's trying to go with it. It's just not executed well. Like I said, especially that where they reveal something that we're not supposed to know, But then they give us a scene of something that that we already know, and they want it to be suspenseful. But it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Some other cons. Obviously, the movie was marketed horribly when it came out. If you watch the trailers at the time of the release, you were led to believe this was a creature feature kind of horror movie, and it's anything but. It's anything but that. Instead, it's really a romantic period piece thriller, I would say, is the best way to describe it. Which I don't mind. I know this is a horror channel, but I review thrillers too, and I would definitely classify this as it's a period piece thriller with a romance thrown in. But they certainly didn't market it that way, and that's why its reputation and the reviews were atrocious at the time. And its reputation still isn't that. It's lessened a little bit, I would say, but most people still don't like this movie. It's one of M. Night Shyamalan's least favorites, at least from what I've read and what I've seen, and that's why. It's just not executed that well by Shyamalan, especially the monster twist, as I said, in the second half of the movie in general. I should say, and the second half of the movie in general. There's a second twist having to do with the time period, which is executed a little bit better, I'll say. And that twist works for me. I did enjoy that one. But unfortunately, by then, it was already kind of like, what are we doing here? So, and then my final con is, if it is supposed to be a love story between Bryce Dallas Howard and Joaquin Phoenix's characters, the problem is Joaquin Phoenix is basically put out a commission like 45 minutes into the movie, so we don't really come to know that much about it. The love story's cut too short, so it's almost like there was too much going on in this movie too with Shyamalan. I didn't quite know, yeah, we got this love story, but we also want to have this village aspect and these creature aspects and time period aspects, and it's like he tried to throw all this stuff into a movie. And a lot of it sounds good on paper. Like I said, there's a lot of good ideas and good themes in here, but they just don't come together in execution at all for me. And that's the biggest problem with this movie. But yeah, the love story's cut short because we just don't know that much about Joaquin Phoenix's character, because he's involved in an incident about 40 minutes into the movie, basically. So yeah, I don't know, guys. That's what I got for The Village. Those are my cons. Overall, guys, this movie's not horrible. I'm not going to get rid of it. I could find enough good here, especially the acting, the look of the movie, and the cinematography. Some of the early suspense before they drop the ball with the first twist. There's some good stuff here. It's a shame that they did drop the ball when it comes to the execution, especially the midway through the movie and the second half of the movie. But I'm going to still give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. I think if it didn't have the actors in it that it does, and the performances and the setup, I'd probably be a lower score. But it does have some things going for it. So 6.5 out of 10 for M. Night Shyamalan's The Village from 2004, the period piece romantic thriller, if you will. Go ahead and comment down below what you guys think of the Village. It's 20 years old now, which is hard to believe. But comment down below if you hate it, if you like it, if you're kind of like me, that it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Comment down below. Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel if you're new here. Or if you're not subscribed, I should say. Not only so you don't miss the rest of this series, which I still have 2 more movies to review, plus I'm going to rank all 10 movies for this series. But also what I have coming out the rest of the year, starting in September. You're not going to want to miss it. So I would, if you haven't seen The Village, I would recommend it at least as a one-time watch, as an M. Night Shyamalan watch. By the way, there might be people that haven't seen it, so I just want to throw that out there. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this review and you're enjoying this series. Hope you're doing well, and as always, stay scared. Bye.